Welcome to this explainer. Right now, we're diving straight into the awe-inspiring kingdom of Prophet Suleman, also known as Solomon. And according to our sources, this isn't just your standard historical tale. No, this is an epic narrative packed with supernatural forces, ancient mysteries, and some truly profound theological truths. So, let's step right into this world.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, do not exalt yourselves against me and come to me in submission. Wow. That is the actual opening of a letter that literally altered the course of history. Written by Prophet Suleman, it completely anchors our narrative today in this undeniable spiritual weight and divine authority. It's a message of ultimate submission to the Creator, and it was sent to a powerful queen whose entire empire was, built on a magnificent illusion. To unpack all of this, we're going to walk through 6 key chapters. We'll start with the kingdom of Suleman, move on to the sun-worshipping queen, then look at the tests of wealth and wisdom, the throne and glass palace, legacy and succession, and finally wrap up with the pinnacle of divine knowledge.
Chapter 1. The Kingdom of Suleman, a Supernatural Dominion.
Okay, so the sheer unimaginable scale of Prophet Suleman's power is just fascinating. We are talking about a kingdom where the winds were literally commanded to carry his royal throne. And his army, it wasn't just humans, it was made up of formidable jinn and vast sweeping flocks of birds. Picture this, the blazing sun is beating down over Jerusalem, and by divine command, this immense canopy of birds forms a perfect cooling shadow over the prophet's entire court. But then, one day, this sudden beam of intense sunlight pierces right through the canopy and hits Suleman. Why? Because one tiny bird, the hoopoe, also known as the hudhud, was missing from its formation. And the seemingly minor absence of just one single bird, it becomes the inciting incident that absolutely shakes this supernatural empire.
Chapter 2. The sun-worshipping queen, the ruler of Sheba. So, the hoopoe finally returns to the court. It's breathless but surprisingly confident, It brings news of a discovery that stuns everyone. A woman named Queen Bilqis is ruling over the magnificent, distant city of Sheba. She possesses a grand throne and just unimaginable wealth. But, as the hoopoe sadly noted, despite all this grandeur, there was a massive problem. The narrative explains that Satan had completely deceived her people. He made their misguided actions appear beautiful to them, blinding them spiritually. So instead of worshiping the ultimate creator, they were actually prostrating to the physical sun. And this sets the stage for an incredible, dramatic clash between divine truth and worldly illusion. Chapter 3. Tests of Wealth and Wisdom, an Impossible Riddle.
Upon receiving Suleman's powerful letter, Queen Bilqis consults her 312 military commanders. Now they're ready for war, boasting about their combat readiness. But the queen, she's incredibly wise. She wants to know for sure, is Suleman just another worldly king hungry for riches, or is he truly a prophet of Allah? So she decides to send him an impossible test, all wrapped up in immense wealth. Along with heavy chests of gold and jewels, she sends a solid, flawless, transparent pearl. The catch? Suleman must pierce a hole straight through it without using any metal tools or the heat of fire. It's a riddle specifically designed to be physically impossible.
So, how exactly does a prophet respond to the impossible? Well, the queen's envoys endure these grueling desert storms just to reach Jerusalem, fully expecting to overwhelm Suleman with their sheer wealth. Instead, they arrive and are met by his terrifying army of jinn and beasts. Suddenly, all their gold feels completely worthless. And when presented with that flawless pearl and the impossible condition, Suleman doesn't use some grand, flashy magic. He simply commands a tiny, fragile worm. Instantly, the worm eats its way right through the pearl, effortlessly bypassing the laws of human physics. It brilliantly illustrates how easily divine command overrides our worldly limitations. The envoys are just left speechless. They are pale. Prophet Suleman then delivers this absolute, powerful rebuke. He says, "What Allah has given me is better than what you have brought." He just dismisses their chests of gold with total indifference. He warns them to return, stating that if they don't submit to the truth, he's going to bring an army they cannot possibly resist. It becomes completely clear right then and there that spiritual provision makes all the gold in the world look absolutely meaningless.
Chapter 4. The Throne and Glass Palace, Shattering Illusions. Realizing she's dealing with true divine power, Queen Bilqis sets out to meet Suleman in submission. Knowing she's on her way, Suleman asks his court a staggering question. Who can bring her massive, jewel-encrusted throne all the way from Sheba before she even arrives? An Ifrit, which is a massive, terrifying jinn, boasts he can bring it before the court session ends. That's incredible physical speed, right? But then, a man named Asif ben Barkia speaks up.
He promises to bring it in the literal blink of an eye. Suleman blinks, and instantly, that magnificent throne is sitting right there in the middle of the hall. No way! So how in the world did Asif bin Barkhia pull that off? As the source explains, he possessed knowledge of the book, specifically the Isme Azam, or the greatest name of Allah. Listen, this isn't magic. It is profound, sacred spiritual knowledge that grants miraculous capability over the very fabric of space and reality itself. He essentially folded the earth to bring the throne instantly. And Suleman, seeing this unbelievable feat, didn't show even an ounce of arrogance. He immediately looked to the sky and thanked his Lord, recognizing this entirely as a divine test of his own gratitude. This leads right into a brilliant psychological turning point. When Bilqis finally arrives, she's shown her own throne, slightly altered, and she astutely recognizes it. But then, Suleman leads her into this breathtaking palace, built entirely by jinn out of flawless, transparent glass. Beneath the glass floor, actual water flows with live fish swimming around. Believing it to be a deep pool of water, the queen naturally lifts her royal dress to avoid getting wet, revealing her legs. Suleman gently smiles and tells her it's not water at all, but a floor made of smooth glass. In that exact moment, the grand illusion of her entire life shatters. She realizes the profound metaphor here. Just as her physical eyes were deceived into thinking glass was water, her spiritual eyes had been completely deceived into thinking the sun was the ultimate creator. Overwhelmed by her own vulnerability and the sheer blinding truth of Allah's majesty, she cries out. She repents for wronging her own soul, and she submits entirely to the Lord of the worlds. You see, this wasn't a military victory over a foreign queen. It was the beautiful, emotional triumph of a soul finally finding its true path. Chapter 5. Legacy, Magic, and Succession. Protecting the Truth.
Actually, scratch that. Let's look at what happened after he passed away, because a really dark conspiracy unfolded. Malicious devils, aiming to completely destroy his legacy, secretly buried books of dark magic beneath his throne. They spread nasty rumors among the people that Suleman wasn't a prophet at all, but merely a powerful sorcerer who ruled through the dark arts. Tragically, people with weak faith actually believed this nonsense, but our sources explain how history was ultimately set right. When the Quran was revealed, it eternally cleared the prophet's holy name, explicitly stating that Suleman never committed disbelief. It was the devils who disbelieved by teaching magic.
Now, during his life, the Israelites pressed Suleman to appoint his son as his successor. But Suleman knew that divine representation requires true, deep wisdom, so he decided to test his son publicly, right in front of the scholars. He asked him, "What is the taste of water?" The son was silent. The true answer, life. Then he asked, "Where is the location of intellect?" Silence again. The answer is the brain. Finally, he asked, "What causes a hard or soft heart?" Still, total silence. The prophet then answered, "The remembrance of Allah." The failure of his son was a massive, powerful lesson for the Israelites back then, and honestly, for us today. True wisdom and divine authority, they are not just some crown you can simply inherit through a bloodline. They are exclusive, sacred gifts bestowed solely by Allah. The prophet completely dismantled the whole idea of inherited spiritual leadership, firmly cementing the concept that guiding a nation requires actual divine knowledge, not just a fancy royal name. Chapter 6. Pinnacle of Divine Knowledge. Ultimate Hierarchy. Centuries later, Islamic scholars and imams, like Imam Musa Kazim, explain the massive theological climax of this whole story. Remember Asif bin Barkhia bringing that huge throne in a literal blink? Well, he achieved that using just one single part of the Isme Azam out of 73 parts. According to the imams, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his pure household were granted 72 parts of this profound knowledge. This visually cements an absolutely incredible truth. As awe-inspiring as Prophet Suleman's era was, its spiritual power was just a single drop compared to the magnificent vast ocean of knowledge granted to the final prophet. And you know, this beautifully illustrates a deeply spiritual paradox. Think about it. Why did Suleman, a king who could literally fly on the mighty winds, need a tiny hoopoe bird? Well, because while Suleman had grand sweeping power, he could not see the water hidden deep beneath the earth's surface. The sources explain that Allah gave that specific microscopic vision to the tiny bird. The magnificent king absolutely needed the fragile bird.
This brings us to the ultimate life lesson of this explainer. Allah distributes his wisdom and his gifts with absolute flawless perfection. He grants literal mountains of strength to some, and incredibly specific, intricate vision to others. No single creation is entirely self-sufficient.
Whether you are an emperor commanding jinn, a wealthy queen ruling a vast nation, or just a tiny bird in the sky, you are left in absolute beautiful need of the Creator.
As we wrap up this epic historical journey, I really want to leave you with a thought to linger on. Just as the Queen of Sheba finally realized that the shining glass wasn't water and the blazing sun wasn't God, has your heart pierced through the shiny illusions of this modern world? If this explainer sparked your curiosity or touched your soul today, please make sure to subscribe to our channel for more cinematic and deeply structured journeys into timeless Islamic wisdom. Until next time, keep seeking the truth.